For every unique living being, this creation is completely different. It absolutely cannot be governed by exactly the same rules or patterns. Instead, it is a law that naturally exists in perfect accordance with the uniqueness of each individual life. This kind of law is manifested through each of our thoughts, every action we take, and every decision we make when facing things. That's why we often say, 3 feet above your head, there are spirits watching. Every action you take in your life inevitably has its own cause, process, and result, all based on that action. And all of this information is completely recorded within our numbers phenomena, even if we are not consciously aware of it. We are unaware of it, and you probably think it's the most natural thing in the world. But in reality, every minute and every second, we are experiencing the existence of this information through our lives. And this information is influenced by our family, our parents' mindset, their actions, their life experiences, as well as the overall atmosphere of our family environment, the education we receive from a young age, the social context at the time, and a combination of many environmental factors. So, through years of research, we have increasingly discovered that the information within the numbers phenomena is extremely rich and vast. If you were to say there is a Tao, a way or a principle, then this is the Tao within our lives. Moreover, everyone's Tao is completely different because the events each person experiences and faces in life are entirely unique. At the same time, we are unaware of the existence of this pattern because it feels so natural within our lives. It is simply our natural life process. Perhaps some things you did or actions you took 10 years ago are actually recorded and reflected in our numbers phenomenon information as we live out our time and life journey. We are experiencing the outcome shaped by every little thing in our daily lives. Many young people might think, why not enjoy life while we can? They might engage in extreme sports, choose high-risk professions, or try to make quick money, pursuing instant gratification and a life full of excitement as much as possible. But everyone should understand that these things don't just happen once. All the experiences you've had and the choices you've made will be reflected in our numbers phenomena as information within our lives. So everything we have done will ultimately manifest as a corresponding result. Therefore, some people might say they've been deeply hurt in a relationship, and after being hurt, they choose rather extreme ways to release their emotions, like staying up all night drinking, singing at the top of their lungs, or crying hysterically. Even these small, seemingly insignificant actions will, in the future, have an impact on your body, your mind, and even on the choices you make about your living environment and every aspect of your future life. All of these will have a comprehensive effect. That's why it's often said that the numbers phenomena of every living being are an extremely complex and integrated information network. Within this individual's information network, every piece of information is intertwined and mutually influential. In the course of every human life, nothing exists independently of the information represented by numbers phenomena. Furthermore, this information also interacts with our surrounding environment, the people you choose to associate with, the type of work you choose, your work environment, and the atmosphere of the family you will build in the future. At the same time, this information also has very clear causal relationships. What kind of preferences do you have? Why do you choose to be with this kind of person? What kinds of emotions will arise after you come together with such a person? These are extremely complex and integrated pieces of information. If there is such a thing as morality among humans, then the most fitting example would be the very life process that each of us is currently experiencing. All the bits and pieces of information are presented within it. As for observing this so-called pattern, in fact, we can understand it in a very scientific way. It also comes from a combination of information from our growth process, as well as from our family and society before we were born, which together shape our current perspective on the world, our mindset and emotions, and the way we relate to those around us. When you delve into studying numbers phenomena, you'll find that you yourself can become the observer, not only observing yourself, but also observing other living beings throughout their life processes. As well as all kinds of experiences and comprehensive information, numbers phenomena gives us a breakthrough, a channel beyond current limits. It lets us see the full spectrum of information in our life processes and examine the information of other living beings. This is why we say analysis, research, and application of numbers phenomena can help precision medicine, life sciences, personalized prevention and intervention of psychological disorders, and crime rate control. And the development of personalized information in all aspects of this world, it holds an irreplaceable and crucial value. So when it comes to divinity, or God, or these invisible laws, what is the standard by which they judge whether a person is guilty or not? What exactly is the criterion for good causes bring good results, bad causes bring bad results? What is the method of judgment, and on what basis is this judgment made? In fact, I believe that there is no standard or measure in this world that applies to every living being, whether it's based on codes of conduct, intentions, or any other method of assessment. It all comes down to one fact: every person is a completely unique individual. What numbers phenomena information presents is a comprehensive picture of this individual, and this is one of the aspects that truly amazes me, the way numbers phenomena can reveal the multidimensional trends of our future development. In fact, even the smallest details of our current lives become part of the integrated information that will shape the next generation, which has yet to take form. As for the standard of judgment, it is actually the results formed by our present thoughts, intentions, and actions. The outcomes we experience are the best proof of this. For example, if a person's thinking is extreme, and their behavior is impulsive, In terms of interpersonal relationships, their mindset and emotions interact with gene expression, and every decision and choice they make is deeply influenced by these combined factors, resulting in specific outcomes. It's not that every person with extreme thoughts will end up with the same result. In fact, under extreme or specific circumstances, a group of people can be influenced, making the likelihood of extreme thinking much higher. This brings us to the understanding of group information. As you continue to study numbers phenomena, you'll find the information within is truly fascinating. We can do another episode to explain group information to everyone. In terms of individual information, let's use the 128 we just mentioned as an example. This number sequence displays characteristics of extremism and an extremely repressed mindset. However, when 128 changes to 28, 182, 1283, 1284, the information presented across all aspects, whether it's thinking, behavior, lifestyle habits, mood, or emotions, becomes completely different. Any change in the number sequence will affect the network of causal relationships within it. Therefore, even if someone has extreme thoughts, it doesn't mean that conflict will necessarily occur. Nor does it mean that everyone will develop tumors. So in this world, it's impossible for there to be a single truth or universal principle that can answer all of life's questions. Each person's life journey is unique and influenced by a variety of factors, including genetics, environment, personal choices, and so on. Therefore, the way we make judgments must vary from person to person. And within the numbers, phenomena, and information of each individual life, there are clear indications of the various dimensions of development that this individual possesses. And the causes and effects within this are also completely unique. So the best way to make judgments is to look at each person's life journey, as well as the life journeys of their descendants and their descendants' descendants, as information is passed down through generations. This is the reality that each of us is experiencing and cannot escape. If there is something that transcends time and space and governs all laws, it is certainly not a deity in some religion, nor a rule found in scriptures or doctrines. Rather, it is an invisible law that surpasses our understanding and exists with fairness and inclusiveness toward all forms of life. Such a law also carries the process of each of our lives in the form of information. On the path of laws that govern life in the universe, we need to approach things with an open mind, to understand, explore, and face the laws behind the information of every living being. Thank you, I am Dai Shinai. See you next time.